For the next step in the directions, we're going to be taking a look at the engine mount and making some markings so that we know where, in fact, to put our engine hook and also where to attach this tube. So the engine mount here, we're going to take a ruler. In the directions, they give you the dimensions for this in either metric or in the English system. So it's up to you to decide which one. I'm just going to use the metric system because it's simpler. So for this, we're going to take our engine mount, we're going to line it up with our ruler, and then I'm going to make some marks. The first one said to make a mark at 10 millimeters, which is in fact 1 centimeter, so I'll make a mark here. Then it says to make a mark at 25 millimeters, which is 2.5 centimeters. And then finally the end is 6.4 centimeters. So I'll come close to the edge here and make a mark at 6.4. And you can see the markings that I've made there. Now the next step is to slice just a little piece into the 6.4 centimeter mark, and that's where our engine hook's going to go. So I've got my my X-Acto blade here, and I'm going to make this incision at the 6.4 centimeter mark. This part can be very, very tricky because it's close to the edge. There's not a whole lot of sturdiness to the tube when it gets close to that edge, so it's hard to make the cut. If you need help, just ask for assistance. So I'm going to slowly see if I can just get a cut inside there. Easy to come. And you can see I've just made a really small incision for our engine hook. So for the next step here, I'm going to be installing the engine hook with our adapter ring. I'm going to show you how to put that on securely and with some glue. This whole model does not require a lot of glue at all, so just a dab will work. The engine hook actually comes in this small bag, so I'm going to open that up real quick. If you're using scissors, be very careful not to cut the parachute as you're doing this. And I'll get these parts out. So we have our engine hook, we have our engine mount. I'm going to simply take the hook end and I'm going to be putting it in that incision, just like that. Once it's in place, I can then take my adapter ring and I'm going to put some glue around the section it's supposed to stick to. Those other markings that you made are going to determine how far you put this adapter ring down. This part can be very, very tricky as the adapter ring is almost the same diameter as your engine mount. So when you go to put it on, it might take you a little while to get it even on the other end. But once it's in, you need to push very quickly, because if it hits the glue and allows it to dry even for 30 seconds, it won't be able to go any further. So you can see I got it pretty much close down to the second mark there, and you're going to notice there's a lot of excess glue that got pushed around. You can just take your finger and get that off. Any excess glue that's left to dry is only going to become extra weight for your rocket, which we do not want. So once the adapter ring is put on with your engine hook on the bottom, you can set that aside to dry. So in this step, we're going to be taking actually a piece of the directions out and using it to mark where our fins as well as our launch lug is going to go on our fuselage. And this again is your fuselage. So the first step is to actually cut out this piece of paper. I'm going to do that real quickly. Now when you're doing this, there is a section here it's got slanted lines. You want to cut around that because that's going to be our overlay as we're taping it onto the fuselage. So you don't want to cut that off. And there you have it. When we are attaching this marking paper to our fuselage, we do not want to glue it in place. This is only temporary to separate our fins equal around the fuselage. So I'm going to place it towards the bottom like the direction says. And again, this diagonal portion here is going to be our overlay. So you're going to want to put that underneath the other side and then just use a piece of tape to secure it in place on the bottom. From here, there are 4 different markings around this marking tape. We have FLs and we have LLs. The FLs are standing for our fins, and the LL is standing for our launch lug. So I'm simply just going to make a mark wherever that arrow is around our fuselage. Now it is going to be very important to remember which mark is for fins and which one's for the launch lug. Since 3 of them are the same and there's only one different one, I'll just label the launch lug here. And then around we have launch lug and our 3 other marks.